Cleo Puri of UG Asset Management joins in with his quick perspective on how things are panning out from a fund flow standpoint. Mr. Puri, good to have you on the show. Sovereign wealth funds in India, what do you think is their role into the Indian markets? Because their allocations to emerging markets are increasing, emerging market equities. And in specific, I think the India weightage is also rising.
Yes, no, I think there's a very strong renewed interest in India and in Indian infrastructure at the moment. I think there's two reasons for this. One, I think there's a sense that India has learned the lessons from the past. So if you look at the policy initiatives and the regulatory initiatives that have been taken in a number of sectors, we have much clearer policies in the road sector, transportation sector, and we're resolving the issues in the power sector. Second is we are much more thoughtful about sources of funding. I think we are less likely to rely on commercial banks to fund this and are looking for either long-term capital, which is pension and sovereign funds, or the bond market. So I think on these two differences, I think the future of Indian infrastructure investing is likely to be much brighter than the past track record.
Right, and can you tell us which sectors are looking attractive? Is it roads, ports, railways, and when this kind, what kind of investment opportunity do you see here?
So it's going to be, of course, somewhat project specific as opposed to just sector oriented, and I think it's also going to depend on the stage at which funds are willing to tolerate risk. But in general, as just by way of example, transportation logistics is very ready. And this is true whether you look at, of course, roads and railways, but also increasingly airports and civil aviation in this country is a very ready sector. Renewable energy, of course, has already been receiving a lot of investments and will continue to do so. One emerging area of great interest will be digital infrastructure. And that is not just communications, but that's everything to do with the revolution that is happening around digital India, including the enabling software, the enabling fiber that has to go into making sure that all of this comes to pass. So I think these would be some pretty exciting examples in the next few years.
But have the markets in the economic cycle hit a trough? And what do you see trending from here in terms of the global risks that we are faced with?
Our economy, I think anybody who has to try and look forward will naturally caveat this with some concern around global events. And I would have to do the same and say that even though India is viewed as being relatively self-sufficient and relatively driven by domestic demand, we do have several sectors which are highly impacted by the extent to which the world slides away from globalization and the access, therefore, that is denied to key industries. Of course, IT and pharma being the most obvious that will come to mind. So I think apart from that very important caveat, I do think that we have to have a faith in the fact that the commitment to a reform process and dealing with the issues that are controllable within our own government's ability, which is to take on issues of continued liberalization of domestic markets, continue to actually think of ways of tackling land, labor, markets and make those more attractive. Those problems have not yet been fully addressed, although we made a beginning, and to continue to reform and simplify the taxation base in this country, which means enhancing participation and potentially simplifying direct taxes and ensuring GST is successfully implemented. I think with all of this coming together, I do think we are likely to see bottoming out for the Indian economy, and I think you will see a steady to upward rise over the next 3 years.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.